Adha. That is Happy Salah.
Kabir. Okay, Eid al-Adha. That's how you say Happy Salah.
Well,
I know that this is Eid al-Kabir they're celebrating.
yeah.
So that's interesting. I just learned something.
What I do know though is that there's ram meat.
This is the ram one.
meat.
Yes. So I
Salah.
told you people before 31A Bishop Oluwole Street. Drop your ram.
Our real estate doctor has gone to celebrate Salam.
Real estate doctor, if you are listening by chance,
you are coming back
our
with
salami too. Don't
meat.
try your soup.
We are not vegan, so we're expecting it.
We're not vegans.
Okay, so welcome to another Wednesday on Real Estate Matters, where we talk about everything happening in the real estate sector in Nigeria and in Lagos. Okay, so there are several things that we're going to cover across the news happening in real estate. Real estate contributes, we all know that real estate contributes to about, to a large portion of our GDP in Nigeria. One of them is, according to the last research for Q1 2026, real estate contributed about 13.10% to the real GDP in this quarter in Nigeria and Nigerian economy. I think that is actually very exciting and makes you understand how important real estate is to the economy, to us, to individuals, to businesses. Of course, we also have that the federal government demolishes shanty on coastal roads, coastal highway. We covered that last week, and that continues. The federal government has demolished illegal shanties along the Lagos-Calabar coastal road highway corridor. Throughout April, happening in May. And I think that's all for the safety of Lagosians. I know that we had a conversation last week where some people were talking about how that is the only alternative because we also have a housing deficiency in Nigeria, in Lagos State especially. There are a lot of people that are coming in from all the different parts of Nigeria to Lagos State to make it big. And they don't have it. They are just coming with themselves and their nylon polythene bag.
It's a major deficit. It is. You remember there was a time that people had there's still people who are renting houses under bridge.
Oh yeah, yes. They still have those shanties. That's what we talked about. Last week, one of the callers had mentioned how those shanties, people pay to rent them. Like you're looking and you're driving past and saying, oh, shanty along the beach, shanty, all this what they call those the water, those places that get flooded.
I know what you're talking about, but sewage will not let because you set suck away.
No, there are lots of you see people living even along those
around the stagnant waters and
so that we have a housing deficiency in Nigeria, in Lagos State especially, and we don't really have what they call those government provided subsidized properties. We don't have those in Lagos
we
State.
say we have them, but do we really? So you're right about the deficit of
so if there were those sort of block houses and accessible homes or affordable homes, they might not be as fine as nice as we want, but they will be an alternative housing for some of the staff, some of the people
just
who
want a place to cover their a place of shelter.
Even real estate doctor had mentioned how there was a time in his life where he was working on the mainland and living on, and where he was working on the island, living on the mainland, and he had to sleep in his car on some days because you wouldn't want to be in traffic for 10 hours.
Family
6 hours.
Because sometimes I'm out of here at midnight. I actually see 1 or 2 cars parked on Palomar Bridge, and that's where they sleep.
You just park and because that by the time you start heading home and you start coming back, that's your whole the commute is long. We don't have trains we have trains now, but even then we don't have enough trains to take
the movements, the direction that they're going is limited.
Exactly. So shanty, although it shouldn't be an option, it's unfortunate that's what some people have as an alternative to living. But Lagos State is pulling them down, and I'm sure, considering Lagos State has been very environmental conscious and they've tried to be as sensitive as possible, I'm hoping that they are going to also be providing alternatives.
It would have been nice to provide the alternatives first, then you move them.
Well, yes, it would have been nice, but it costs more money. It's easier to just say, get out here, shoo, than to say, okay, here's a home. Everybody who wants something, come here. It's
It's
easier, right? But that is the situation that we find ourselves. Okay, so there is fear in Lagos State as another solar panel roof fire hits building in Awoyaya. Residents of Awoyaya in Lagos State were thrown into panic after another fire incident involving solar panels. So this solar panel thing, because it takes us back to the electricity, the fact that we
Yeah.
have issues with electricity, and so many of us have to, and fuel, diesel, and petrol cost so much. So many people have to explore the option of so sustainable lighting is a need.
It's
for
it's actually a
yes,
need.
it's a need, right? And it's unfortunate that some of these panels are being installed by non-professionals, and so because of that, it's cost.
Becomes so dangerous.
Yes, it's about the installation. So if you have the wrong person who is let me give an example. There's someone that had been giving a story about how there was a wire connection that needed to be done,
Okay.
right? And then the electrician that they called had put two wires and then just taped it together and then just said, oh, don't worry, let's go. And then she had asked, oh, but I have the connectors. Most people don't have the
Right.
connectors, and she had like a whole bag. And I don't even know why she had, but she had like a whole bag of those very tiny connectors that you can actually use to connect wires.
And the guy
And then
said
he
no.
was like, no, it's not necessary. And in her mind, she was like, she knew that if she was talking to if we had the proper process, she was talking to a professional, they would have said, oh, even better, they would have taken
Yes.
it, connected
They
it.
even would have it.
They even would have exactly. They would have it. So it goes to show how a lot of things that should be attention should be paid to, right? Because the person does not have there's no guilt, there's nothing holding them to that responsibility. They tend to brush it aside. Same thing with mechanics. Same thing with all the other things that we need. And
And
just
then-
say, don't worry, auntie, don't worry. They will just
There's also a conversation about the lithium batteries. There's also the materials that they
the
use to make the
materials being
solar panels. And
substandard.
that, yeah.
Yes, there's
Oh,
also
wow.
that.
Nothing
the
is safe.
connection, the material. But if you are working, sometimes that extra pay, the extra cost of working
Will save you a
will
lot.
Save you a lot. Sometimes the extra cost, because okay, this company has been doing this for so long. Even if I know that there are some of those companies that the cost that they add on top
It's
is just like,
ridiculous. Let's be
how
honest.
is who is this person doing it 2 million? How come you are doing it 4 million? What is the difference? What exactly?
What are you
is
buying
the-
for 2 million?
Exactly. What is the margin? You've broken into the market. It makes time for you. There's cost for you to review your price downwards. Now,
Right.
we don't review price downwards. So if we entered with them,
We say that if the bus fare has increased by 100 naira, so it's now 600. When everything comes down,
back,
that bus fare stays there.
It stays there. Nothing goes back down, and it's just unfortunate. Anyways, so in other news, EFCC transfers ex-minister Maman jailed for 75 years for corruption to prison.
Wow.
Yes, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court, Maitama, Abuja, on Tuesday, May 26th, ordered the EFCC, that is Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, to hand over the former Minister for Power, Mr. Sela Maman, to the Nigerian Correctional Center, Kuje, Abuja, for the commencement of his 75 years prison term. The order for Maman's transfer to the Correctional Center followed his presentation before Justice Omotosho on Tuesday by the EFCC and the filing of a consequential order by the Commission for the forfeiture of 5 new properties traced to the convict. So I know that we say so often that there is no consequences. So
There's no justice.
There's no justice, So I want to say it's good that we get to hear and see such things where there's justice being
Served.
so that we know that it's not all the time that we just say it has happened, right?
Can't do anything
we
about
can't do
it.
anything about it. That phrase is so common on the Nigerians' lips that sometimes it's very disheartening, and it
Yeah.
goes to show that we have lost faith in the system, in what is ours, what we are entitled to, right? That even the bare minimum is we celebrate it. Thank you.
You not go blame people.
So yes, that is really unfortunate, but yes, it's also good news that there's justice being served, even though that some of us might say, oh, there's probably some politics involved, because well,
That's all. That's what I'm gonna say.
But at the end of the day, there was a crime
Committed, and the person is about to serve
and
the
somebody time. Yes, somebody who was given a position that looks like he was untouchable is going to serve the time for corruption. For what has been done. So, in other news, the Lagos State government has disclosed that it recovered over 270 million from fraudulent real estate agents and property developers on behalf of residents that were affected by the real estate fraud across the state. So, according to a statement made available to a media house, the Commissioner for Housing, Mr. Moruf Akindure Fatai disclosed this during the 2026 ministerial press briefing held at the Bagudu Kautu Press Center, Alausa, Ikeja. Mr. Akindure Fatai noted that the recovery reflected the state government's commitment to protecting residents, protecting Nigerians, protecting Lagosians from exploitation, fraudulent transactions, and unethical practices that are happening in the real estate sector. So he stated that the Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority, that is LASRERA, has continued to strengthen regulatory oversight through stakeholder engagement, public sensitization campaigns, and enforcement operations aimed at restoring confidence in the property market.
270 million.
270 million is a lot, right? And there are a lot of developers, a lot of there's a lot of developers, a lot of real estate agents who they don't have any intention of delivering on some of the projects that they start, or they don't have a clear plan, because that's where plan comes in. If you have a clear plan on what you want to achieve, your budget, how you want to execute it, as opposed to running off numbers off the top of your head and pulling out numbers from unknown places, right? When you have your numbers right, when things hit the roof, you can honestly go to your stakeholders and your investors and say, look, this thing cost 1,000 naira 2 months ago. It now costs 5,000 naira. Let us all review prices, and then you and your stakeholders can then discuss. Of course, there are some crazy people who would fight you and say no, but then there will always be terms and conditions to compensate, as opposed to you didn't even have plans to build the house. In fact, sometimes you don't even have the land to begin with. You just have credit, a bank loan. So the bank technically owns the land. You go around trying to get money. People give you money. People trust you. Get real estate agents to give you to use their names to get more people to invest in it. And the next thing, you use it to go to Canada.
You use it to jackpot. Can you imagine?
Use it to jackpot. Yeah. So it's good to know. This is good news back to back. The first one being the former minister going to jail for 75 years, and there being consequences, right, for him not doing his job. And then the second one being the retrieval of a large sum of money,
270 million
naira, and then giving to Lagosians, those who have invested in it, to say, okay, now because a lot of sometimes people invest in things, there's fraud, and the money just disappears. Nobody gives you any updates. Sometimes the same company, the same person will start another company and continue.
I've seen that.
And it's those kind of things that really just make people feel very is it pessimistic now?
Yes.
Nothing
They don't look forward to. They don't believe that they say again. This is why you think that the system does not work.
Yes. So this is good news within the real estate space. For those of you who have invested in certain projects, you can always flag those sort of situations. Like, I put in money. I know a client who had mentioned, I invested money in a property. There was an issue. I was supposed to be compensated. Until now, and I've not been compensated. It's like, okay, so have you followed up? And it's just like, this is so tedious and so cumbersome. And this developer has deliberately made it so, right, that it is frustrating to continue, and over 5-6 years, like, what are we doing here? At that point, the person has to go and start looking for somewhere else to invest in. But some people, it's their retirement funds. It's everything that they have. It's all of the monies that they could put together, and they've put it in real estate because housing is a need, right? And it is unfortunate that some people take advantage of the desperation because of the housing deficiency, because of the cost of living in Lagos State, and some people take advantage of it for their own personal benefits. Anyways, there's still other news that we'll be going into in real estate. This is still Real Estate Matters. We're going to go on a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll continue to discuss. Please do not forget to join. You can join the conversation by calling our lines. That is 080-509-20927 or 080-250-27711 or 080-29-788-003 or 070-569-00927. So when we come back, do join the conversation.
Happy Children's Day! From all of us at Super 92.7 FM.
Lagos family, your happy place just got louder.
You are listening to Super 92.7 FM.
Taxis waiting down on the street, so hurry up, I have to go. Looking round, you see all the people making faces very cool. Carry me away, far from the circles that never breaks. Hey, hey, hey. Going home, where this road goes I already know. Where everybody cares for one another, and they take you as their sister. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Where the children run around, there's laughing in the crowd. I hope it still remains the same. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. And there's something in the song that makes you feel at home, and that's what's calling out my name. Hey yo, hey yo. All locked in and ready for takeoff, so my mind can fly away. House is getting smaller the way up. In my heart a sunny day, dreaming of me on stage. 5 years of age and I'm not afraid. Hey, hey, hey. Going home, where this road goes I already know. Where everybody cares for one another, and they take you as their brother. Hey, yo.
Real Estate Matters with the Real Estate Doctor and his co-host, King Ray, on Super FM 92.7 Lagos.
Every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon.
This show brings you an understanding of the business of real estate. Follow us on our socials at real_estate doctor and at ray.realtor. For sponsorship and advertisement, call us on +234 802 735 1727. Powered by Media House Promotions and ODOT Communications. Real Estate Matters, only on Super FM 92.7, where real estate matters.
Welcome back to Real Estate Matters on Super FM 92.7. I am King Ray Realtor. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, you can join today's conversation by calling our lines 0805-092-0927 or 0802-502-771 or 0705-690-0927. Okay, so we've shared some good news with reference to monies that were retrieved by some people who invested in real estate. And we've also covered some other,
not so good
news. Yeah. Okay, so one of the a two-story building collapsed in Anambra State. A two-story building under construction again. I know that last week we had covered a 3-story building, I think, that had collapsed in Abuja, or 5-story that had collapsed in Abuja.
Oh, wow.
Where the developer had been arrested, and there were some consequences for that. So and then we had talked about how come every other week, or every week actually, we are always talking about how some one property or the other collapses. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we have these sort of tragic incidents happening in Nigeria and Lagos. So a 2-story building collapsed under construction, collapsed in Umuama community, Umuji in Idimili North.
Idemili
North, local government area of Anambra, causing panic among residents and passers-by. It was gathered that some construction workers at the site narrowly escaped death.
Wow.
This was on Monday evening when the structure began caving in after loud cracking sounds were heard from the walls. It goes back to the whole substandard
quality.
Yes, substandard products being used to build. I know that we had talked about how come the bodies or the agencies that have the responsibility of ensuring that materials being used for building
are top notch.
And I think there was one of the episodes that we had where we had a guest coming, and they had mentioned how some of those agencies lack funding. Right, so and then they may not know, they do their, I mean,
do they get salaries?
I mean, they do get salaries.
If they do get
but
salaries,
you know how it can be for federal or government bodies, civil servants that earn salaries with those spaces. They may not
want
be earning,
side hustle money.
Yes, and they may not be earning as much.
Yes,
and they may be understaffed.
But you are work, so you take the job, you accept the job to do that. You should do it.
True.
And if you don't want to work for them anymore, go somewhere else.
Easier said than
No,
done,
no,
right?
because if you go out looking for a job, at least you will find last. You know what I mean? But if you're saying that because
you are going to take on this
you
role,
collect the salary and you will not do any work because you don't think you are paid enough, then what are we doing?
And then some of them might be overwhelmed by how much, like how do you want, how they cover the areas? What is their system for covering areas?
That's thing.
That's where we come in as civilians, blowing the whistle on some of these structures.
But you know that some people also, they're getting something on the side, and that's why
they turn it. Yes, that's why they turn the blind eye.
You as a civilian going to report to them,
they already
might
know.
not make much change.
True, I
Won't do
agree.
anything.
I agree, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't.
Yes,
right?
do the right thing.
Do the right thing in the sense that as a especially professionals who go to sites. When you go to a property, I know I've been for some inspections that someone is saying, "No, come and help me market my property," and I go to the property, and immediately I go to, I know that I'm not going to be marketing this property.
But do you get to report them?
But there are certain channels of reporting that you can flag that as a professional. So if you are a property lawyer, if you are a property financer or accountant or whichever profession that you are in that's related to real estate, when you go to a site and you see that the standard what they are doing is not right, flag it, report it, go to your association and report that this location, this property, the way it's looking, because there are sometimes that by the time you are in it as a professional, you can already see the way this thing is tilting. It shouldn't be tilting like this. The way this pillar is, especially for the engineers, the way this pillar is, it shouldn't be this thin. The way the sand is crumbling, it shouldn't be this. If you order for certain items from a supplier and the supplier is delivering substandard products, alert someone, blow the whistle, find a way to make sure that attention is drawn that this person is not doing the right thing, and at the end of the day so it goes back to consequences, because if I know that there's consequences, right, as opposed to what is in it for me to report.
But also,
right?
Is there a case where the business owner or the owner of the estate is also culprit, in the sense that I think about cement, for instance, and how they water it down, the mix. You over add something because it's cheaper, and then so there's watered down quality.
So that's where in most situations it's always good when the person putting in the money is not the same person that's overseeing the project. Right? That's why when you go to some projects, you see those tallies where they put the name of the developer, the name of the civil engineer, the name of they should be different people. The reason why that should exist is so that there's checks and balance. as an engineer, if I know that I'm the one drafting the plan for something, I know that my name is on the document, my name is on that building. There are certain things I will see that will make me alarm that this isn't right. This shouldn't be the situation. Same thing with if you're a property lawyer. You should also be alert. You should also know what your reputation is at stake. Because your reputation is at stake. That's what we're saying during one of our episodes. We're saying it shouldn't just be the engineer, right? Everybody involved in that project should be penalized in one way or the other, so that for future projects everybody's on their toes, right? So that if me as a realtor, I go for an inspection, I know that as my name is connected to this project, I have to ensure that they are doing the right thing.
But you know, there's some parts of, I mean, thinking about what you're saying about everybody being involved and everybody should face the wrath of whatever or whoever is coming down with that wrath. I'm thinking about the fact that a civil engineer might be great at civil engineering but doesn't know much about survey or something. And so,
of course, there are some things that you might not know about, but then there are some things that are visible now.
Sure.
If you go to a site and you can see the house is tilting, you don't need to be an expert to know that this house is tilting. It should not be tilting.
My mind goes very quickly back to that man that died in his own real estate.
Yes,
in Ikoyi.
Yes. And that's where the whole bar for entry being low is a problem. That is, just because you have the money, just because you've done project management for something, it doesn't mean that you understand the nooks and cranny of that profession, right? Because what you have is some big men or big men people. And women, big people have money, and then they've invested in a project before, right? They had a professional, and they're like, why do I even pay this man?
I can do it myself.
I can do it myself. Is it not that that electrician you called? Is it not that man? You now go behind the professional's back, call all these people and try to replicate what the professionals give. Maybe they gave you a document. Now you're like, you just try to patch it all together.
And they knowing that you don't know will also want to use your head.
And they exactly. They knowing that you don't know, we also want to use your head. So they too, maybe you order for 20 bags, they steal from it. Even if you are out there counting, micromanaging everybody. Even if you're out there micromanaging everybody, there are certain things that you don't know that will slip through the cracks. There's certain things that you don't understand the dimensions of, that will pass, that you wouldn't look when you
go by you.
When you don't know something,
you don't
know. You can't even see the flaw. I think that's there's a part of philosophy that's like the height of education. There's a certain point of education where you start to realize, there's no amount of learning in this topic that I will know it. Because when they say when someone is not so informed, a small education, you feel very confident. More education, you're like, okay, this is not. And then that's when you now realize you need to specialize.
I love that. Small education makes you feel like you know it all.
But
it all when you get more education, you are humbled.
You're humbled as to how much there is left to cover, to learn.
That is so true. That's so deep.
And so you get people, you think, I know it now. What I did is not this plan. It's not to do block like this. It's not just. Is it not just? Then you too, when you see some flaws and you're like, this shouldn't be like this. The technician, the one that knows that you don't know, say, don't worry, sir, don't worry.
Don't worry. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. You're like, shouldn't you use this? Don't worry.
No, guys, my job. I know it now.
And next thing you know, the blind person leading the other blind person, and then both of them will now, unfortunately, when it comes to real estate, the cost is life. And it takes us back to what is the value of life in Nigeria, right? What is the consequence for people doing the wrong things and getting away with it? It's just that man was in that building that day. Most of the time, people they're not
around. That's true.
They're not around.
Other people will have to
suffer for it. When you're cutting costs from.
It's not the only one that died. Many people died as well.
You know, many people lost their lives. So even as an investor, get a professional to guide you. Get a professional to go by the side. I don't see why, if you're a serial real estate investor, I don't see why you cannot have a project manager on your team, right? Someone who knows the technical bits, who can go to these properties that you're investing in. Who's your go-to person, just to check and ensure that they are building a standard that you want to be associated with. Yeah, so to join the conversation, don't forget you can join the conversation by calling our lines 0805-092-0927 or 0802-502-771 or 0705-690-0927. I know we've had a few calls come in and we haven't picked, so we'll start to pick the calls now so you can call in to join the conversation. Okay, so UniJust students protest prolonged power outage, demand urgent action. So students of the University of Jos last Tuesday or this Tuesday staged a protest over a prolonged power outage in their hostels. It was gathered that the students had been without electricity for several weeks. Some of the students who spoke during the protest said the situation has made life unbearable. Of course, it would make life unbearable. Light is so necessary for students because you're reading, you're preparing, you're preparing for the next day.
And you're resting because you're resting.
And you're rested. So it's I mean, yes, I understand why they will say they will go and protest and there's no lights in the hostels. I mean, many of them, do you know how much they pay for those accommodations?
See, even if it's cheap, can we just have breeze so that we can have a good? Can we use hot plate and cook and then read our book
and then read and then prepare because there's so much to catch up on, so much to study up on. So I understand why it's unfortunately that the students of UniJust would have to protest. I mean, I'm sure, I hope, and I'm sure that the issue is being looked into by the school and by the state to help resolve the problem. Lagos State sets up appeals committee for physical planning, building control disputes. So this is in line with the retrieval of that 270 million.
Right.
Yes.
So I think that's a great thing.
It is. So Lagos State government has established an appeals committee to handle disputes arising from physical planning and building control. He said the committee would serve as an independent platform to review disputes from physical planning and building control. The governor added that the inauguration marked a significant step towards ensuring fairness, transparency, and accountability within the physical planning framework of Lagos State. So yes, this goes back to, aside from the retrieval of that, there's also the issue of people getting allocated certain spaces, and then after a while it's they find out, oh, this has changed, this is not the plan anymore. So it's good that there's a committee and there's a council that can help regulate this. So when people flag such situations, or when there's a plan, when there's a need to say, okay, I want to purchase this land, how much of this is set back, how much of this can I build on, how much of this might actually be used for something else, because there are some places that have been designated by the states to be used for a park, a school, whichever area we lost that call, whichever area it is. And then it's good that you get to know what those things are, and then when you do start building your property, if there's any issues that then arise, there's a body that's being set up that can help handle and say, okay, this area, I wasn't told that it was for this, however, this is what it's being used for. Why? So those places like Makoko or Shoki and Co, they can now have this established institution that they can go to. However, it's not just about it being set up. I think for Lagosians, it's also about how they continue their work, because we all know of several agencies that have been set up and then do not actually deliver on the work. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How do you want to join today's conversation?
Yeah, my name is Tunde from Sinawa.
Okay, how do you want to join the conversation today?
Yes, I've been listening to the topic of today. See, any collapse or every collapse building in Nigeria, all the ministry, whatever that is impossible. Before the completion or the commission of the project, if we pass through some certain stage and some ministry will give the approval.
Yes, that's true.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes. What are they looking at? How they are collecting a substance money from all these contractors, whatever, before the completion of the job. So those are those things that they have been looking into.
Yes.
When you demanded something that even the contractor will not even see it at the end of the project from him. So I don't know what is going on in Nigeria. We have some ministry, whatever
that are supposed to be on top of it.
Yes. There should check and balance in this.
There should be checks and balance. Actually, I think there's actually existing agencies that are supposed to be the checks and balance.
Are they doing the work?
It's now about if they are doing the job that they should.
Yes, you've collected your money, whatever, and you've gone, and all the building collapse, and people are dead. People are. So what will people say about the life that has been lost in the?
Yes.
It's something that is serious to be looking into.
It's a serious issue because some of these houses haven't even been built yet. It's under construction. Do you know what it means for a building to collapse under construction when there's no pressure on the building yet? Not to talk of when the building now has people sleeping inside. So you can imagine how substandard the project is for it to collapse before it even gets to the end.
Where we not be sincere to, where we not be sincere, we are not being sincere to ourselves in this country. God will really help us.
True.
God bless you.
Thank you very much. That is that's so true. Right? It's the lack of honesty, right? Where people are not transparent, we are not honest to ourselves. Everybody's cutting corners, and then you go through the pipeline. A cut corner. This person has cut. The person releasing funds has cut corners. A portion of it. Another person collecting the funds has cut corners. The person shipping it has cut corners. The person receiving it has cut corners. That one too is steal from it. Cut corners. Put water inside. The other one, before you know it, you're dealing with nothing. You're using nothing.
You need 5 rods. They'll use 3.
You use 3. The person has already, from the top. There's already cracks.
Yeah.
By the time it gets to the end, the
wall is soaking up.
In fact, there's more sand.
Here.
There's more sand than cement by the time it gets to the end.
That thing continues to blow my mind.
And then the agencies are supposed to now go and check and ensure that this is the standard that should be maintained. They now don't do their job.
They don't do their job.
They collect monies, and I feel like I always ask this question: what's the cost of life in Nigeria?
It is a genuine question.
Because if you take money, it means that you've put a price on the lives that will be living in that house.
Yes.
If someone gives you 1 million naira to do something that's wrong, you've put a price on the lives that will be within that house.
That's right.
No matter what you say, after all, other people are doing it, but you are a part of those people. You have included yourself in the problem. So whenever there's any issue that comes up, the blood is also on your hands.
Your hands
money
as well.
Is also considered blood money because you have collected what you shouldn't have.
I love that you said that.
And you've put a price on lives that would then be lost.
You've taken lives, basically.
You've taken lives.
Your hands are
yes.
with blood.
So all these buildings that have collapsed, when lives are lost, all those that are involved that did nothing and benefited from the wrong have all been a part of have all
as
been
good as murderers.
Yes, they have all been a part of it, and that's why I said there should be severe consequences for it. It's just unfortunate that we always have to keep talking about it, keep bringing it up, but it's something that we will keep talking about it as much as we all get tired of talking about it. We'll keep talking about it until we see change and we see improvement in this space. Okay, so the number to call is still 0805 092 0927 and 0802 502 771 or 0705 690-0927. Okay, other news. Lekki Estate residents commend LASERC, that's LASERC, for ending electricity crisis in some areas. Residents of Goshen Beach Estate in Lekki Phase 1 have commended the Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission for what they described as a prompt and decisive intervention that helps restore stable and reliable power supply for the estate. So according to some residents, the estate had battled severe electricity problems for about a year, despite reported efforts and financial contributions by members. And residents had reported and flagged And then the residents said that their community has now been successfully connected to the direct Jazz 38 feeder line. So, I mean, as much as we come here and we talk about estates that people that are protesting, not no electricity, estates that have said they've not had light for 2 years, it's also good that we commend places and estates that have said, okay, they've answered us. Because people have called in to say, oh, my estate, we've not had light. So now we can also share the fact that some estates have gotten answers after they've blown the whistle and escalated things. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, this is Sai calling from Ogun State, ma.
Hello, Sai from Ogun State. How do you want to join today's conversation?
To join today's conversation. What I'm talking about, this collapsed building matter. Yeah. What can we do about it? Yeah, you keep saying it. And I want to know that the powers that be are paying attention. But what can they do about it? Really?
They can raise the bar for entry for building properties. For one.
When there are people to be bribed.
Yeah, well, yes.
You're right, man.
I mean, no matter how high they raise it, if there are people to...
If there are rotten eggs in the mix. Yes, but there are also some people who do their job. As much as we talk about how there are bad teachers, there are still some good teachers even in the public space. There are still some civil servants that some of them even overdo itself. Like you'd be like, why are you following everything to the letter? But it is sometimes I meet such civil servants that they follow everything. Where's your team? And sometimes it's exhausting, and then sometimes I'm just like, it's good to meet someone like this. Yeah, I'm glad that you do. You might be doing too much. You might be doing, but you're doing your job, right? Yes. And they still have some of them. So yes, I agree. They are corrupt officers. We can't. It's unfortunate, but it has become a part of that system. Okay. Yeah. However, when there is an established bar for entry, right? As of right now, to become a developer in Nigeria, I think you just have to join. It's not much. Just have the money. Honestly, have the money and go and buy your land, and you find somebody to start the process. However, if the bar for entry is raised, and the consequences, it's not just raising the bar, the consequences for breaching that bar, if the consequences exist, right, where you know that if you go and build a house and you don't have any engineering background, you don't have any professional on your team, you are going to pay Lagos State the value of that house. You will pay it. By the time you are putting in money, you go and look for the professionals to. I mean, why? Look at the legal space now. You can't just go and start drafting legal agreements like that to say
catch you.
Because there's same thing with the medical space. You can't just go and open a hospital and start giving people. I mean, it happens. They have quacks in Lagos.
But when they
catch you, you will serve your time and you will pay the money. And I think that same standard should be put in real estate, because as much as important as health is, as important as the law is, real estate shelter is also very important, and the quality of shelter is also very important. So I think that it's not just about the government looking at it to collect money. Thank you very much for joining the conversation, Osai from Ogun State. It's not just about the government looking at it to collect money, because it's not just about giving taxes. It's also about paying attention to the space to increase the standard of entry, and to show Nigerians that the value of life is just as important to the government as it's important to each and every individual. All right. So yes, it's unfortunate that we have collapsed building and we keep talking about it every week. And one day we won't we won't talk about it as much, because it will be a thing of the past. Right, there will be a time where we'll be announcing that there were fewer collapsed buildings in the year.
I look forward to that day, honestly.
We all do look forward to that. We all do. Okay. Olubadan intervenes, halts demolition of about 186 houses in Ibadan. So the Oba, that is Oba Rashidi Ladoja, the Olu Ibadan of Ibadan land has stopped the demolition of about 186 houses at Isokan Estate Extension in Elebu Ido local government area. Landlords from the estate met with the monarch after rooftops on their homes were removed ahead of a planned demolition linked to a high court judgment favoring another individual. At a follow-up meeting in Badija, the Olu Ibadan directed residents to repair the damaged rooftops to save the houses already marked for demolition. So it's, as I said, there are certain things that we hear and it gives us hope in the system, right? As I mentioned, yes, we say corruption, but there are some people that do the right. They do we all have that. We know that teacher that as much as the other ones let things go, there was that one that was paying attention to what you're doing. So it's good that there are leaders that still come and speak on our behalf, and that this is what our local leaders are for, to speak, to intervene in certain situations that we can turn to. By the time you turn to the government, they are not doing. Unlike the Western world, who may not have monarchs like we do, we have obas, we have kings, we have queens, olori. You go and meet them and you can turn to them, leaders of your local government, traditional leaders that have been in place for centuries before our system, even before the Western system was even established. You can go and meet them and say, okay, this area, this is what our local governor is doing, this is what we need, and have them intervene. Although sometimes, nothing really does happen.
Yeah. Some other times something happens, like these people still getting their properties. I'm sure they had to go back to the plan, look at the plan, and then come up with alternatives to save the investments of these property owners and these landlords in those areas. So that is some good news from them. Oyo State begins payment of compensation to property owners for Ojo Akinyele Road project. So the Oyo State government has commenced the payment of compensation to property owners affected by the ongoing expansion, reconstruction of the Ojo Akinyele Road. So the Commissioner for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Akim Fumilayo, explained that Governor Seyi Makinde had mandated the ministry to process the documents of affected property owners without delay. He stated that while 65 property owners were identified in the first phase, about 22 had received their compensation after being cleared. So, it's good to know that there's also compensation for that. The federal government commits 1.3 trillion naira to roads and bridges in Southeast. So the federal government says it has committed over 1.3 trillion naira to strategic roads and bridge projects across the Southeast to boost economic growth and strengthen regional integration. Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, said the administration was investing heavily in critical infrastructure to unlock enterprise and attract investments to the region. I think that's another positive information that we've heard. The federal government is set to terminate delayed Renew Hope housing estate contracts. So the federal government has said that it will terminate contracts awarded under the Renewed Hope Housing Estate Program. I think we covered that a while back. To contractors who failed to deliver on the projects as agreed. So the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Mutaka Rabe Dama, stressed that contractors must honor the terms of their agreements, adding that claims of inadequate funding could not justify project abandonment without formal request for contract variation or extension. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, good morning. My name is Auri. I'm calling from Ogun State.
Okay, we had a lot of people from Ogun State. It's good that you're joining, and we've actually covered a lot of news from Ogun State.
And happy Children's Day to you, by the way.
Happy Children's Day to you.
It's because we are on a hilltop, so we can get your signals very clearly.
You can't even get us further than that.
I know, right?
I'm calling for three reasons. The first one is to sue the estate doctor to make sure that each and every one of the listeners gets a bit of one of his cow.
I'm sure he's listening in, and he will come next week with
I know he's listening. I can sense him. So that's one. And two, you know that the lady that called before me,
yes,
I can't remember her name, but she's also from Ogun State.
Yes,
mentioned a bribe, and I don't know how you guys responded, but bribe is a very critical factor in collapsed buildings and even all the misbehavior. I was somewhere in Lagos, Lagbado area, where people were having their buildings under these pylons, the electrical stuff, and then they were brought down. And I think you talked about it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But do you know they are rebuilding? And I actually talked to one of them. Actually, I went to buy. They
are rebuilding under those same place. Those
Oh yes.
High tension wires.
There's a club. There's a club there. And so I went to buy something. Let me just say building material, but I don't want to draw attention to those people because I don't want to victimize them. I went to buy building material from one of them. I said, "Why you guys rebuild it? Why don't you just relocate?" He said, okay, no, not relocate. We don't pay 12 million now. I said, no, and that government will come and just destroy it. Before that time, we don't make the 12 million pounds. So this is not a joke. This is a systemic failure. That people, it's government people. I'm assuming it's government people because it's empowerment for them to stay there and boldly telling different things. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
And then there's even a club that is there. So it's a big issue. The third one. Sorry, I'm wasting your time.
So they've demolished something and then they go back there and pay for it to continue building again.
Yeah, so it's kind of land grabbing, kind of stuff.
That's exactly what it's
And it is the people that are selling building materials that are telling you they cannot leave a place that is not in the best shape. The irony of it all.
They paid somebody 12 million. That's a lot of money.
They paid somebody
I
within
thought it
the
was a lot
system
of money because I'm not a building material seller. But they said, even if we stay here for only 1 year, we don't make our money back.
Imagine.
That's what they said. Okay? So then they said, and this is the most pervasive, is the Chinese. The Chinese are now responsible for most. I buy building materials a lot, so I'm telling you from first person point of view.
Yes, I think
they are now responsible for most of the steel that come in. I know steel is the principal factor involved in our structures, especially tall structures, staying tall. You understand? Now, the quality of steel they are bringing in from China, they are compromised. Virtually everything they're bringing in from that place. I'm not against Chinese, but people go there and bring in their compromised product, their compromised aluminum, their compromised this and that. And then we expect
because it's cheaper.
Yes, it's cheaper, and somebody is looking the other way. And it's a standard organization of Nigeria that I know when I was growing up. Now they are in the shadow. I mean, what's their job? I think they are no longer functional. Government should scrap them. They are meant to be a defense for the people to stop things that don't live up to standard from coming here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not the only country people want to smuggle in fake
things. So why is it so easy?
Yeah.
Why does it seem so easy to come in? Wow.
So those are my three
in fact,
I'm sorry I took a long time.
That's fine. Thank you very much for calling and joining the conversation. That brings us to one of the recent news where NSCDC, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, sealed off a Chinese company that is alleged to have brought in a steel that is linked, Chinese linked steel companies over alleged multi-billion naira railway theft. So as you brought it up, it's even something that is ongoing. Sealed all their branches. So they sealed all branches of Inner Galaxy Steel Company and Joishin Integrity Industrial Limited
they
across
put integrity
the country.
In their name.
You know, they even put integrity. Joishin Industrial Limited across the country, following the uncovering of what is described as sophisticated syndicates involved in the vandalism of critical national infrastructure. This happened, I think this is like yesterday.
Yeah, this story was in the news yesterday.
Yes, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Where a Chinese company linked with steel has, they were sealed off and they are being investigated.
There are still companies that are supposed to be involved in the
construction
railway construction. All their branches have been sealed now because there were allegations of theft of some of those
of some of the materials that they brought.
That's
that were
amazing.
Supposed to so this is something that we that that Nigeria also, just as you are saying that they are getting away with it, it's good for us to note that there's consequences in certain situations.
It's a highly sophisticated syndicate.
For them to indicate, to mention that you can imagine this is a government, it's a national project.
I mean,
now
look at the allegations they are facing.
And now imagine how they are handling private projects.
Exactly.
Where the owner of the person investing
only
the
has
money
so much power.
only has exactly.
Look at some of the allegations.
According to him, suspect listed syndicate are facing allegations bordering on conspiracy theft, destruction of railway infrastructure, concealment of stolen property, and alleged financing.
Our time
terrorism.
is so up, but
oh my goodness,
it's been such a day. Thank you so much.
It has been. That's been a fantastic session. I've been your host, King Ray Realtor. Until next week, Wednesday, on Real Estate Matters. Do have a fantastic week.
You too. All right, Children's Day is still on, so 12:30 we'll talk some more to the kids.
Happy Children's Day from all of us at Super 92.7 FM.
They bring the gist, it gets spicy. Then they switch it off. It's Papa Fuerte and So Feel So Fine on Super 92.7 FM. Oh, by the way, it's called The Switch from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Don't miss it.
We